call the Rochester School Board, Rochester City Council Joint Building Committee meeting to order on May 8th, 2024 at 6 p.m. First item on our agenda, for those able, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Second item is the approval of the April 17th, 2024 minutes.
So moved.
Second.
There being a motion and a second, is there discussion? No discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 3 is our architect update.
Has everyone gotten the copies of the presentation? All right, I'm Ingrid Nichols with Banwell Architects. And so we have consolidated the entire set of drawings. So all the addendum items during bidding, all the bidding questions have been answered. And we've actually brought the set of what all of the bidding documents comprise of. So it's 3 volumes of specifications as well as 2 volumes of drawings. Forward this slide. We're working with the construction and owner's rep team on the final buyout. We're working on identifying lead time items like electrical, rock wool, and insulation and other things that we know is going to take a long time to get. There's a few things in our design documents that we're looking at for our best bang for our buck. Windows are one item that we're looking at. We specified a Conair type of aluminum window, and we're looking at an Intis window that's a triple paned to see if it can work with your security film that you want on the windows and that you've used on other schools. So there is an issue with the Intis that would actually save us money, but the security film isn't really working with the Intis yet, so we're still investigating to see if we can do that and still save you money and still get a triple glazed window. We're also working on the gym floor surface. We specified a thin wood, engineered wood product. So we're looking at what you guys did at the middle school, Poolastic, I think it is called. So that Jim is aware of that, you have it in your other school, it's appropriate for this age, children. So we're looking at different alternatives too to help save money and bring those decisions back to this group to see if that's something you want to do. So other than that, I think we're on budget, or under budget, and on schedule, and we're working with the team to keep it going.
Any questions for Ingrid?
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 4 on our agenda is a civil engineering update.
We're doing Eric Doremus, met you all last month. Good to see everyone again. Just give a quick update on our civil engineering progress. So since we last spoke, we met with Richard Carr and members from the school to discuss our response to comments on our first round of the engineering third-party review. We've received some good feedback during that review. We additionally spoke with Gordon and other members and came to the conclusion to eliminate that right turn lane that we discussed last month. So that was right here before the right turn lane was coming in. There were some concerns about sight distances and such. So we went ahead and pulled that out based on the recommendations from the third-party engineering company. And we also made a few minor updates on the locations of the signs to match the latest NUTCD standards. Questions on that?
So, eliminating the right turn lane entirely, is that what you're?
Yep, so that was the recommendation by the third-party review to eliminate that.
Yeah. I know that was the recommendation, I read that, but I mean, I see a traffic issue if you have to slow down the traffic on Salmon Falls Road enough to make a right, a 90-degree turn into that road during the high traffic times, I think you're gonna have the traffic backed up all the way to that corner and lose your line of sight anyways. And, you know, I don't see it working without a turn lane that the vehicles can get out of the way so that through traffic can get going, keep going through. That road during that particular time frame that they drop off students is a commuter road. You know, everybody from north of the city that's going to the shipyard or going to the Portsmouth area drives that road. So it's heavy traffic from 6 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. and then it slows down, and then it's heavy traffic going north from 3 to 6 or something like that. So I just see that being a major traffic issue. That's been one of the biggest concerns of the neighbors when we had public input. One of the biggest concerns was how is it going to affect the traffic on Salmon Falls Road, and not wanting to see traffic backed up like we have at several of the other schools in town.
Madam Chair, Madam Chair, out of respect for Eric, I think he would concur with what you're saying. So I'm jumping in so he doesn't have to answer that. I think he concurs with what you're saying to a great extent.
Yeah, so we did complete a traffic study, if you don't mind.
Please.
That, did take into account all the traffic counts for existing and proposed and future use. And our recommendation was to include the right turn lane. We were then directed to remove the right-hand turn lane. So it's really,
And that came about, Madam Chairman and others, as a result of, and again, in the meeting we had with Mr. Carr, he seemed fairly insistent that this would be the way to go, and we felt that, as in the spirit of cooperation, that even though our engineer thought that a turning lane would be appropriate, your third-party review said no, as did your director down there say no, so we seceded to eliminating the lane.
Who's our director? I mean, I missed.
Peter Norris.
Yes.
No, it was Carr.
Richard Carr, who we spoke to. Yep.
Richard Carr, I used the term wrong. It's now against that.
So did that traffic study, if I'm understanding this right, with that right turn lane, the issue was cars that are pulling out, like leaving the site, wouldn't have enough line of sight to see around them if they could go? Is that
That was the concern of the third party.
And so did the traffic study look at how far traffic would back up?
If there wasn't?
If there is no turning lane? Yeah. If that, that's what,
Yep.
so Mr. Fonda was just saying, was that he was concerned about the backup without there being a lane. So did the traffic study, was it done only with the turning lane? Like how?
So I'm not the traffic engineer that did the study.
Okay.
I can certainly get back to you on that question. The one thing I will say is the site internal was designed to hold the full 277 cars that were expected for pickup and drop off. So there won't be any backup in the road per se. There's no cars restricting turning into the site, I guess. There won't be someone stopped and there won't be a vehicle stopped in the road. So vehicles should be slowing down in this area regardless. There's adequate turn radius for someone to pull into the site. So our traffic study did not show traffic backing up down Salmon Falls Road during pickup and drop off.
Just to follow up, I mean, we had this discussion last month, and I read the third-party review, and we talked about it last month, and that's when we decided to lengthen the right turn lane to try to get more cars out of the travel lane rather than none. I'm just saying, you can't, it's a 90-degree turn, so you can't make that turn at 35 miles an hour, or even 25 miles an hour during school hours. You have to slow to 10 or 8 miles an hour to make that turn. And that time of day, it happens now on Mondays because Monday morning is trash pickup. And there's a trash truck that drives along and picks up the toters. And the traffic backs up constantly behind that trash truck. If there's an oil truck making a delivery that they have to stop and back into somebody's driveway, you'll get 15 or 20 cars backed up waiting for that to happen during commuting time. So, you know, I understood the problem, that they were concerned about the sight view for cars turning left out of that road, but there's already a traffic issue, and you're gonna add 270 cars during a 30-minute period, you know, entering that. I just see a major issue there, and it has been one of the main topics of every community meeting that we had during this process. And we were assured, the community was assured every time that, oh, don't worry, we're gonna get all of the traffic out of the way so that they're not, you know, so that's not affecting it. And I see this affecting the community that's just beyond this turn. You know, I am not in favor of eliminating that right turn lane. And I understand that maybe Public Works weighed in on it, but they weren't here for the community meetings and heard what the neighborhood was concerned about, and this was one of the things that we assured them of. So I'm not in favor of eliminating that right turn lane.
So,
Superintendent.
yeah, just two things to clarify. Peter Norris did make the final decision to eliminate that from the project. So I would recommend that if you wanted to bring him to the next month's meeting, right, he could tell you why he wanted to eliminate that. Because both of the engineers met, there was disagreement on it, third-party review, and Mr. Norris sided with eliminating it. We deferred to the city to move things along. So I think it'd be the best course of action to bring Mr. Norris or invite him here to explain exactly why he wants to do that.
Thank you.
Eric, if we were to remove the turn lane, could we widen the shoulder, so at least there's a deceleration path, so that they could at least have a shoulder to then make their turn, so that the traffic behind them could keep going?
If we were to put a shoulder, we'd want to have some intentionality behind it. And if we're going to put a shoulder for cars to pull off, then we want to design for that. So we have a 4-foot wide shoulder there now. If we, you know, Peter Norris comes back and says, hey, we want to put it back in, there's additional concerns that we need to weigh in, we would just put the full turn lane back in. Yeah.
And was there any discussion on the traffic light by the city engineers? Did they bring up the traffic light?
They did not, but we did review that in our in our traffic study and determined that a traffic light wasn't necessary here.
Would the committee like us to invite Peter Norris to our next month's meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Superintendent Rakusi or Eric, do you guys mind reaching out to the city engineer to invite him to our next month's meeting?
We have time in the schedule to do this, so yes.
Okay.
There's time, but you're not holding anything up by deferring this.
Thank you.
So some good news here. So sewer basis of design, we have wrapped that up with DPW. They've received all of our comments and we're satisfied. The water service basis of design, we're still working with DPW, Banwell, and Allied, the MEP engineer, to determine where the water meters are going to go on site. So that's still getting worked out. As for permitting, thanks to everyone in this room for their advice and discussion last month. We were able to wrap up our New Hampshire Fish and Game Review, which in turn gave us our AOT permit. So that's all good, permit in hand, ready to go. And then the last item that we're waiting on is the sewer connection permit, which we're waiting on the acceptance of Ida Circle. I don't know if anyone here has any update on the status of when that road may be accepted, but once that's done, we'll be able to get our connection permit in. And if no other comments, that's all I have for you.
Any questions for Eric?
Okay.
Thank you for
Thank you very much.
All right, item 5 is our construction manager update.
Good evening, good to see you again. happy to report that the GMP amendments have been executed with their supporting exhibits. That was done on May 1st. My honor tonight is to say goodbye and hello to the next phase of our service to you. So pre-construction is now done, which is exciting because we're going to start showing some construction activity. So tonight you'll get an update from Jason Landon, who is the project manager on the project on Harvey's behalf. But thank you for the opportunity to work with you on the pre-construction side of things for the past 6 months. We've done a lot of work, covered a lot of ground, and successfully got to a GMP and a project that we can support. So thank you for that. And with that, Jason can come up and give you an update on the construction side of things.
Thank you, Pete, we appreciate all your
Yeah.
work.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, hello, and it's nice to meet everyone. I'm Jason Landon, so you'll be seeing me instead of Keith going forward. The quick construction updates right now are, we have the GMP, so we have all of our bids from the subcontractors, so we're going through the bids of each trade to make sure everybody's got the same work covered, so the prices are apples to apples, and then we're selecting and awarding contracts. So that'll be going on for the next week or two. The building permit application is still in process with the city. I believe there's 2 signatures left, and then we'll be released on that. I have some conversations with the Department of Public Works right now to just get permission to start site work, which doesn't involve the building, get that going this week. And we'll start moving dirt around. And then, other than that, you're gonna see a lot more activity in the next few weeks, and by the end of the summer, you're gonna start to see a building come up out of the ground. So any other questions at this point, at this time?
Hey, what's the holdup on the building permit?
I'm not aware of any specific issue, so the city has, every department has to sign off on it. I checked this morning, and the only 2 signatures that are left are the DPW, and the building inspector is always last. I called the DPW, and they didn't have any issues, so I think it's just the time it takes to get it signed. They did request a lot merger application with that, a late request, so that's being taken care of right now.
Any idea when demo will begin
Of the house?
of the
That
house?
would be, I can speak. The 28th and 29th of this month, they come in to do the decontamination of the building. There was some small, it's under $5,000, so it's not a lot of decontamination of the building. And then on the heels of that, the contract has already been issued to SUR, who is a sub to them, to demo the building. So that would, I would say, commences June 1.
Yeah. And I've talked to SUR, and they are itching to go, so. And they're also, they'll be the ones that'll be there hopefully the next week or so starting the site work. And that'll involve clearing, grubbing, setting up some temporary roads for our use during construction. And like I said, I talked to the DPO just to make sure that would not be upsetting anyone if we start doing site work ahead of the building permit. Again, the building permit doesn't really address the site work, so there shouldn't be a conflict. And other than that, the city asked for us to schedule a pre-construction meeting with the various heads of all the authorities that have jurisdiction, just to sit down and make sure that they tell us what they would like to see and when we'll be doing that. Hoping in the next 2 weeks. I've got a set of emails out just asking if everybody's available.
Any questions?
Just one thing, I know at a past meeting you talked about press releases, and just didn't know when you break ground, when you might want to do a shovel situation over there, so that you can talk about where you are, what you expect to be, so the community stays abreast of what's happening. So I don't know what point that could be coordinated between Gordon and Harvey, so that maybe JBC could participate in something like that. Yeah, we could we're happy to help with that, and we can do it anytime you want. My personal recommendation is wait till we get closer to doing foundation excavation, so you can actually see a hole in the ground and know where the building is going versus a larger site. It usually is a better photo op. Other than that, it's up to you guys.
Yeah, maybe we could do it like an hour before the meeting, the day of the meeting, maybe meet at 5 o'clock on site to do that, and then we can have our meeting. That works for people's schedule. It's tough to get all of us together.
What day do you think you're gonna be out there doing site work?
I don't have a specific date yet. I'm waiting to hear back from the DPW tomorrow, hopefully. I left a message this morning, just to make sure I'm not again.
Yeah, and what are the hours, just for the neighbors, folks that
Oh,
might live over
so
there? What are the hours that they're doing their work?
does the city have any restrictions on what we're doing for time or noise?
whatever you got in your TRC and
All right.
planning.
I'll double check. I mean, in
Yeah.
general, it's 7 to 3. We have certain subs that want to come in early. If there's, we work in areas that have like, say, a 7 AM noise restriction, we can allow the subs to come in early, but we restrict what they can do. We won't start equipment up. So we'll do stuff, planning setup that won't involve noise. And we work with everybody. So if we ever do anything that upsets a neighbor, I'm welcome to have you guys contact me directly. We'll talk to the neighbors and stop doing whatever it is.
Okay.
We try to be considerate with who's around us. We're going to be there for a while. We'd rather be with friends than people that are unhappy with us.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. All right, next item 6 is our owner's representative report.
Good evening, and I know that Eric mentioned it, but we do want to again thank everybody in this room. I know you had some guidance to us last month on getting the permits and the fact that everything came off everyone's desks, that we mentioned it briefly, but we want to mention it again. Thank you, that big step. So I'm going to start every report of mine each month with 2 things, and Ingrid alluded to them before. We want to report to you that we're on time and we're on schedule. And that means more than what we're just saying, because one of the things that you folks have as a responsibility is to hold us as the construction team accountable. So we want to be able to report to you every month that according to the schedule that Harvey has prepared, we're on time. And then from the financial side, that we're on budget. So if anything were to go astray, you're not going to hear about it next June of 2025. You're going to hear that, well, something came up and we're now slipping half a month. You're going to hear that in September, not in July or June of next year. And the same thing with the budget. And this is very important for fiscal responsibility and involves the supervisory union. So I wanted to take a little bit of time in this meeting to talk about that we want you to hold us accountable to that. And we want you every month to hear from my report that we're on time and on schedule. And if we're not, we want to tell you what has wavered. So that's important. We're going to catch that in the minutes. With that out of the way, that we are on time and on schedule, on time and on budget, is the contracts that we've issued, was already been alluded to. Harvey has their contract now. SUR has been issued a contract via the school for the demolition of the building, because we had bought that through with you folks. So therefore, that's a contract we're doing direct for the demolition. That again, 28th and 29th, Vantage Company is doing the abatement for us. We've done a contract with them, and they will be doing the abatement with an SUR doing the demolition. We've also issued a contract with HESS, which is for ongoing SWIP reporting. What that is we go out weekly, sometimes every week and a half, and the site is examined to make sure there's no erosion control, there's nothing dealing with any of the animals or any of the species that are out there. So SWIP is sort of a broad umbrella. It covers a lot of things, but the short version is it's to make sure we're not doing anything to harm the area. So those have been issued, which were prerequisites to starting, and they're behind us. The 4 things to look at right now, I'm going to work tomorrow with Kyle, and we're going to get those lots merged. That was something that was late breaking. We need to merge our lots, and I think between you and the town attorney, that'll happen with no problem. We are getting our kitchen designed, and we have a kitchen equipment that we're following. That should come in at around $300,000, so we're starting to look at the needs of the kitchen. Our academic furniture, we had a meeting today. The academic furniture is going to come around somewhere in the $650,000 range, and we're working on, again, fine-tuning what we need for it, and we'll run it by everybody, so you'll all know about it in advance, but just to know that we're taking things to the next level. That will go out to bid. It looks like right now the 2 bidders that will be eager to bid on that is WB Mason, and the other company is Hertz, which used to be some other company that Hertz has now bought. So there'll be others allowed to bid, but those seem to be the 2 that are chomping at the bit. And we're also going to be looking at Prometheum boards. That's what you use now, so we're going to continue to use those in the new school. What we will do there is we will commit to the purchase, but we won't have them delivered until June of next year, because as we know, anything that's in the quasi-computer world, it changes by the hour with new updates. So we want to buy them now, commit to the price, commit the money, but not have them be until the version that comes out next June. So we'll get that behind us. That's all I had at this moment, so questions, please.
You know what I'm gonna ask you, Gordon?
Please.
Where are we with the switchgear?
Switch gear.
Oh, I'm serious.
So I'm serious, no, and now we have our
It is.
gentleman over there that,
Just so you know, the Wakefield Street Gaffney home, that's a huge project. They're gonna miss that on their historic taxes now because the switchgear they come in was supposed to. 18 months, all right, they told them 12.
so you talk and we'll all, this is a good, serious question. So where are you thinking we are on?
team.
No good in September for any lights.
No, let's talk about it.
So the update I have, which is not set in stone, so I don't have a purchase order from the sub yet, is that we're going to be on schedule.
What's the date they said they're gonna deliver?
I don't have, because there's not a purchase order, I don't have a firm date, I don't have that, so.
Well, that, you better get working on it,
We are
because
working
we're
on it.
not gonna be able to open up in September if you don't have that
I
locked
understand
down.
that, yeah.
We're almost a year, what, 12 months, 14 months?
Yeah, no, the switchgear, our transformer, and the rooftop equipment are historically, in the last year or two, the 4 items that are the big deal.
All right.
And yeah, have you chosen yet, and because again, things are happening dynamically, the electrical company?
Longchamp's
It's gonna be Longchamps.
Yes.
So Longchamps has good influence on this, but again, their hands are tied. But Longchamps will work their magic. Is that something you're talking to
Yes.
Longchamps
That
about?
was the first thing we talked to Longchamp's about.
And one of the things they do by talking to a Longchamps is they have experience from another job they may be doing. I was telling the mayor and others how that works. So they've got a job that they're doing a factory somewhere, and that gives them an indicator of whether what they're being told is real or not.
Yes.
And what are you hearing from Longchamps?
So I just finished a middle school in Salem with them. We got it on time, and we're in the middle of a project in Newport at their regional technical center. And that one's gonna be here, that was a year-long project, it'll be delivered in July, so that we can open September 1st. So they have yet to fail me on that. We've been tight a few times, but we've made it happen.
All right.
And I do understand, I mean, to be honest, if anything goes wrong, you guys don't have an option of not opening. So we will figure out a way to open, even if I have to use Band-Aids and duct tape.
We had the same thing in Allenstown where we weren't sure if our switchgear would come in time, and we had, again, by using a competent electrical company, there is a plan B you can do, which it's not quite the duct tape, but it's where they can bring in temporary stuff or stuff that they have from another job if it's really mission critical. We're not there yet, but that's certainly, I'm glad to hear you say that, because it means we're all thinking the same.
Thank you.
If there's an emergency, there will be a way to temporarily alleviate the emergency until that permanent equipment shows up.
I'm gonna go with Steve and then to Jen. Steve?
Go ahead,
Oh,
Mr.
I just want to say, our last two projects, we had problems with gear, and we got around it by taking it out of the regular manufacturing process and putting it in as customs. We got the high school panels in 10 weeks, and the Maple Street head end, we got in 12. But when you're ordering a stock part, it goes into their production schedule.
Right.
When you order a custom, it goes into a different line. And Negum Electric turned us on to that and made it happen. I don't know if it's an option in this project, but it's worked for us
I'll look
twice.
into that.
Obviously, you've talked to Mr. Turner. What are we looking for control systems on the HVAC? I don't want a control system that's not, one, he's not familiar with, or another, we have to go out and find a contractor. Preferably something that already.
It's what,
We've already decided, it's gonna be a Distech control system.
This
Contractor is optional because Distech is an open platform that we already own.
That's why I wanted to make sure they.
And it'll fit right into my head end, no matter who puts it in, it'll go right into the server we have.
We'll give you one system, not a special one.
Yeah.
That's an excellent question. We're doing the same thing on our overhead lighting. We're having right now some discussions on, again, that can get proprietary if you want to be, that it's something that the school's been used to. I think Ingrid also alluded to the film. You folks have bought a particular type of film for your window coverings. It's really the density of the film, whether it's a 5%, 10%, whatever it is. And we're trying now to make sure that we equate what you currently have in your schools, but it may or may not be the same company. And the reason for that is certain manufacturers won't let another guy's film touch their window, and we're getting into that. And that's the kind of thing we're talking about, but you'll get the same density of coverage. So all of those sort of things to make them compatible we're looking at, but please bring things up like that. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Gordon?
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, next item is item 7, other. Does anyone have anything under other? So we'll work on getting a date once the ground breaks, I guess, when we have to hold the ground for the press release and the, what's that called?
I just have another, during public comment last month, I think it was Ray, jump in if you want, Ray. He was looking for some answers on something, was it the landscaping?
Well, the chair lady asked, the chairperson pretty much answered the questions I had via asking the board members, so I'd have answers. But one of the questions was for landscaping. There were, in that field, there's several, what I consider nice pine trees. And if they possibly could be just transplanted over along the property line, relatively easy, that would help with a buffer for the noise for the neighborhood there. I don't know if there's additional cost or if it's simply, digging a hole, picking them up, putting them in a new hole. I mean, they're used to growing in swampy, bad dirt anyway, so you're not changing their environment. They should take hold. But something to think about. Somebody more professional than me probably could decide if that would be a good idea or not. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Good, I had the note, I couldn't remember it all, I thought it had to do with landscaping.
All right, anything else under other? Item 8, I will open to public comment. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address the committee? Please state your name, address, and limit your comment to 5 minutes.
Well, I came tonight to say not anything. I was just going to listen to find out what's going on. And then some things came up. So Ray Wayman, 55 Ida Circle. I'm an abutter to the property that you're working on. So thank you, Mr. Fontenot, for bringing up that idea about the removal of the traffic lane. I'm telling you, I agree with him and probably everybody else in this city. You all preach there's going to be 270 spaces. We're going to get all these cars off the street and into the school place. No backup, no problem. Every one of those 270 cars have to slow down and they have to make that right turn. They do not teleport or transport or anything. They come down Salmon Falls Road, they slow down just beyond that sharp corner. They're going to make a sharp right turn. They're not going to do it at 45, 25, 20. They're going to do it at 10, and they're going to back up. So just because an engineer said this is going to work, sometimes you have to listen to the common person. I have no idea, no education, nothing. I just know. I drive that road. I live by that road. I know that road as you all do. You cannot move 270 cars magically to the school parking spaces. They all turn. And when they come out of the school, most of them are going to turn left. There you go. But we all know what the problem is. Somebody should be able to say, we're putting in a lane, that's the way it's going to be. Somebody has authority to do that. Neighborhood noise. Thank you for asking about that. I'm retired, my wife is retired, so if you could start about 9.
I can't promise you that.
Take a break around 2, that's when I do my nap. And cut it off about 4. That'd be fantastic. Unless my grandkids are here, then you can keep going, because I'll bring them over to watch all the big equipment. They'll quite like that. So, a little humor for you. And somebody was asking about acceptance of the road. probably going to be June. We have a meeting with the city, the property owners have a meeting with the city the 16th, and probably shortly after that will be accepted so you can get your permit for connection. So that's all I have tonight. Thank you for listening to me every week. Sometime I'm going to come and not say a thing.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public wishing to address the committee? There being none, I'll close public comment. Is there a motion to adjourn? There being a motion, is there a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.